You know, one good thing about the Blade is how it brings people together. Alistair was a Novus Templar when Duncan recruited him into the Grey Wardens, or rescued him, as Alistair would say. His mother was a serving girl who died when Alistair was very young. He was raised by Eamon Guerin, Earl of Redcliffe for a time. The Earl's wife, Isolde, suspected the reason her husband took an interest in the welfare of a servant's child was that Alistair was Eamon's son. She insisted that the boy be sent away to the Chantry. Isolde's suspicions were unfounded. However, Alistair was not Eamon's son, but King Merrick's. Eamon sheltered the boy to hide his existence from Queen Rowan, Eamon's sister. Unable to accept the decision to spare Logain's life, Alistair left, and has not been seen since. We have been given the gift of freedom by our forebears. Let us not squander it. The only child of the war hero Logain MacTur, Nora has never been out to stay quietly in the background. It is common knowledge that in the 5 years Nora and Catelyn held the throne together, she was the one wielding the power. She is held in much higher esteem than her husband by the people of Ferelden, nobility and commoners alike, and commands the respect even of foreign nations, having once inspired Empress Selene of Orlais to declare, Nora Ferelden is a solitary rose among bramblers. She sent her maid Erlina to Arl Eamon's estate to ask for Drake's help in escaping from Arl Howe, but as they fled Howe's estate, Nora in disguise, they were ambushed by Sir Catherine, there to arrest Howe's murderer. Drake surrendered to permit Nora's escape. She made her way to Eamon's Denham estate, and there offered her aid in defeating her father at the Landsgate. Her efforts, however, were not enough to erode Logain's support. The bands fell in line behind Logain, and he called for the warden's execution. Fighting erupted, breaking the long tradition of the Landsgate, which was ultimately settled with a duel. In the end, Nora was granted the throne, and Alistair walked out of the Landsgate chamber, never to be seen again. Balin Iduken. This is a time for action, not cultured debate. Third of King Endrin's children, Balin was always been considered that the last and least of his family. Not the heir, nor the favorite, and not as accomplished as either sibling. Balin's most notable trait was his ability to stay out of trouble. His efforts were for nothing, though. The assembly named Pyro Haramount King of Orzammar, and the coup he tried to stage in revenge was cut down almost before it began. King Cailan Theron. I'd hoped for a war like in the tales, a king riding with the fabled Grey Wardens against the tainted god. Son of the legendary King Merrick Theron, Cailan was the first Ferelden king born into a land free from foreign rule in 2 generations. Since his father's death, he's held the throne alongside his queen Nora. He fell in battle alongside Duncan at Ostagar. Sir Catherine. Some of us know what honor and loyalty are. Catherine came to Logain's service the hard way. She belonged to a poor family and was out doing work on the farm when she saw a man on horseback being attacked by several bandits. She rushed to his assistance and found out belatedly that the man she saved was none other than the great hero Logain. Though she was hardly more than a child, he took her in, offering her a position with his soldiers. And she climbed through the ranks through sheer determination, becoming the commander of Merrick's shield. Logain's elite soldiers was the proudest moment of her life. She was slain while trying to stop Drake from entering the Landsgate. Connor Guerin. I feel like I'm sleeping, but I guess I'm not. While most of the bands and Earls of Ferelden cart their children with them to the Landsmeet in the interest of eventually marrying them off, Connor has spent his entire life at Redcliffe, and it's hardly surprising. The child possessed the gift of magic. By law, he should have been taken to the Circle of Magi at the first sign. Abdicating his claim to Redcliffe instead, the boy was kept out of public view and his magic hushed up, with disastrous results. All mages are beacons that attract the attention of feyed spirits. Because of this, they are trained and tested by the Circle to ensure that they can withstand attacks from malevolent Fade creatures that seek entry into the waking world. Untrained, Connor drew the attention of a powerful demon that tore the veil asunder. To stop the demon's rampage, Connor was slain. Drush. The Mabari is clever enough to speak, and wise enough to know not to. Ferelden Prover. Drake's Warhound has a pedigree older than High Ever, and a penchant for driving cooks to distraction. Duncan. Men and women from every race, warriors and mages, barbarians and kings. The Grey Warden sacrificed everything to stem the tide of darkness, and prevailed. Like many others, Duncan gave up his family name when he joined the ranks of the Wardens, a symbolic gesture of cutting ties. He may say this was a convenience in his case. However, his mother was from the Enderfield, his father from the Deventer. His childhood was spent in the Free Marches and Orlais. His people were everywhere, and his homeland was nowhere. He was given the almost impossible task of leading the Wardens in Ferelden, a kingdom that has thrown the Order out 200 years earlier, facing local suspicion and hostility. He set about finding recruits. He was killed in battle against overwhelming numbers of Darkspawn at Ostagar, alongside King Cain.